The airport terminal in Atlanta went silent in a way no one could explain. A rookie nurse barely 3 weeks into her career lifted her trembling hand and gave a small, almost invisible signal to a decorated Navy SEAL commander standing near Gate 42. And across the polished marble floor, the powerful CEO of St. Matthew's Medical Center stopped mid-step and turned pale as winter ash. Before we begin, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet courage of ordinary people, take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment where you're watching from, and subscribe to the channel. Your support keeps stories like this alive. Hannah Carter had always believed that hospitals were places of healing, not politics. At 24 years old, fresh out of nursing school in Savannah, she had just begun her first job at St. Matthew's Medical Center in downtown Atlanta, Georgia. Her scrubs were still stiff from too many careful washes, her brown hair always pulled into a neat low bun, her ID badge clipped straight and polished. She carried herself with quiet determination, but behind her calm smile was the nervous heart of someone who knew she didn't yet belong. St. Matthew's was prestigious, glittering with glass walls and modern wings funded by donors with long, powerful names. The hospital's CEO, Victor Langford, was known for his commanding presence and sharp suits. He walked through the halls like a man inspecting assets rather than patients. Hannah noticed quickly that some staff straightened when he passed, while others avoided eye contact. 3 weeks into her job, Hannah was assigned to the cardiac unit. One of her first patients there was a retired Navy SEAL commander named Michael Hayes. He was 42, broad-shouldered even under hospital blankets, with close-cropped salt and pepper hair and a quiet strength in his eyes. His file said he had survived multiple deployments overseas. Now he was fighting something far less visible, a rare heart complication that required urgent surgery. Hannah learned from his chart that Commander Hayes had collapsed during a charity event supporting veterans. He had been transferred to St. Matthew's because of its reputation for advanced cardiac care. What the chart did not mention, but Hannah overheard from hushed nurses' station conversations, was that the hospital's administration was hesitant to approve the complex surgery he needed. It was costly. The insurance coverage was complicated. There were budget considerations. Hannah had seen the way Commander Hayes thanked every nurse, even when he was in pain. She saw how he folded the corner of his hospital blanket neatly each morning, as if discipline were stitched into his bones. And one night, as she checked his vitals, she noticed him staring at a photo on his phone. It was a picture of 2 small boys standing beside a lake in Colorado, holding fishing rods too large for their hands. Something inside her shifted that night. She had become a nurse to protect life, not to measure it against financial spreadsheets. 2 days later, Hannah was unexpectedly sent to Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport to escort a visiting donor's spouse who had fainted on arrival. It was a simple assignment. Assess, stabilize, arrange transport. She wore her light blue scrubs under a gray hospital jacket and carried her medical bag with careful professionalism. As she walked through the bustling terminal, she spotted a familiar face near the departure boards. Commander Michael Hayes was standing there, dressed in civilian clothes, a duffel bag slung over his shoulder. He looked thinner, paler than he had in his hospital bed. Her heart dropped. She approached carefully. He told her in a steady voice that he had discharged himself. He had been told the surgery might be delayed indefinitely due to administrative review. He didn't want to be a burden. He was flying back to Colorado to figure it out. Hannah felt anger rising, but she kept her composure. And then she remembered something she had overheard in a closed-door meeting the day before. The hospital board was attending a medical innovation summit in Denver that same evening. Victor Langford himself was scheduled to board a flight from that very terminal within the hour. Hannah's pulse raced. She knew she had no authority. She was a rookie nurse. But she also knew something about courage, even if it came from watching patients like Michael. She looked at him and made a subtle gesture with her hand, tapping twice over her heart and then pointing toward the executive lounge corridor. It was a simple sign she had once seen veterans use during a hospital appreciation event, a quiet signal meaning, "Stand firm. You're not alone." Commander Hayes's eyes narrowed slightly, recognition flashing across his face. He didn't ask questions. He didn't argue. He simply nodded once. Minutes later, Victor Langford emerged from the private lounge, flanked by assistants. He stopped when he saw Michael Hayes standing tall in the center of the concourse, medical bracelet still visible on his wrist. And then he saw Hannah standing just behind him. The color drained from Langford's face. The airport crowd didn't know the history unfolding before them. They didn't know that 2 years earlier, during a hurricane relief operation in Louisiana, Michael Hayes and his team had rescued a trapped family from a flooded building. Among them had been a young executive visiting from Atlanta, Victor Langford's only son. It had been a story buried under headlines and forgotten by many. But not by Michael. Langford remembered. And now the man who had once carried his son through chest-deep water was standing in front of him, denied a surgery because of cost projections. Hannah didn't speak. She didn't need to. The signal had been enough. In that sterile, echoing airport terminal, something shifted. Langford dismissed his assistants and approached Michael. His voice was low, urgent. Within minutes, phone calls were made. Words like override, expedite, and full coverage floated through the air. Hannah stood back, hands clasped tightly, unsure if she had just risked her career. By nightfall, Commander Hayes was back in a private room at St. Matthew's. The surgery was scheduled for the next morning. No more delays. No more budget reviews. The procedure lasted 6 hours. Hannah wasn't assigned to the operating room, but she waited in the staff lounge long after her shift ended, unable to leave. When the surgeon finally emerged with a tired smile and announced that the surgery had been a success, Hannah felt her knees weaken with relief. Days later, as Michael began walking slowly through the cardiac wing with a physical therapist, Victor Langford visited his room personally. There were no photographers. No press releases. Just a quiet conversation between two men who understood the weight of second chances. And then, unexpectedly, Langford asked to see Hannah. She walked into his office with trembling hands, expecting reprimand. Instead, she found him standing by the window overlooking the Atlanta skyline. He told her that leadership wasn't about profit margins alone. Sometimes it took the courage of someone at the bottom to remind those at the top what truly mattered. He announced the creation of a new Veterans Cardiac Assistance Fund at St. Matthew's, ensuring that no service member would face delays because of cost again. Hannah left his office not with a promotion or a bonus, but with something far greater, the certainty that her voice mattered. Commander Michael Hayes returned to Colorado months later, stronger, able to fish with his sons by that same quiet lake. Every year, he sent a handwritten Christmas card to St. Matthews, addressed simply to the rookie who stood her ground. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in doing the right thing even when it's hard, and subscribe for more stories that restore faith in humanity. And before this story ends, I have one special request. Comment the word courage below if you believe one small act can change a life. Because sometimes the bravest signal isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes it's a quiet tap over the heart in a crowded airport, reminding the world that compassion still outranks power.